Hello everybody, today we will be telling you how to be an expert in Scratch. Like, basically an expert. We will uncover tips and tricks, how each block works, and possibly even hacks that you could use. Okay, let's show you. The move 10 steps block basically moves the object forward. Let's say I was here to make like a little arrow. So I go make an arrow, right? Let's do this, and then we will just do it like this. And then it will just go in that direction. Let's go to the next block. The turn blank degrees just turns it. That's it. And let's go back to the move 10 steps block. It'll basically go in that same direction. So it's pretty useful if you're making like some circles. Let's do this small script, and it just makes a perfect circle like that. Okay, let's continue. This is the opposite direction. The go to block basically goes to a random position, or you could change it to your mouse pointer, which always goes to your mouse pointer, or it goes closest to the mouse pointer, like up here, down here, like that. And then the move go to block, it basically goes to that specific coordinates. Let's go to 0, 0. It'll go to that chords. By the way, here's a hack. Just so you know, the screen X's, basically this number times 2. And the same for this number. But they're not always correct. It really depends on how big your sprite is. The glide to block basically glides to that thing, or that position. It could go mouse pointer, which always goes to my mouse pointer. And if I make a forever loop of it, it always goes to that. So yeah. Ali, I'm making a video, bruh. I did. Now I'm Anyway, let's go back to the motion script. The glide to block is basically the same thing. Let's say if we go to 0, 0, and then we glide to that block, it always goes there, like always. Or you could change here, like say 0, and then it basically goes to it. The point in direction basically points in that direction. Let's say we want to point right here. We do that, and it points right there. That's it, basically. And then the point to mouse pointer basically just points to the mouse pointer. That's really it. The change X and Y and set X and Y are all basically the same. It's basically a modifier for the go-to script. So, but it's like basically separated. Let's go back like this, so you could like go into those and basically do a lot of things. The on edge bounce is basically, let's say we move 10 steps, it will basically do a DVD logo. That's it. Because it detects if it's at the edge of the stage, it'll go like right here. It goes to the edge of the stage and then moves it. The set rotation style is very important in some games, because if you're pointing in this direction, you could point to the opposite direction and it'll point that way. But if you go in like -135, it'll still point in that direction because it's the closest to the left. The don't rotate style is obviously don't rotate. It doesn't rotate. All around is normal. These are called booleans, and booleans are supposed to make you know if, like, what that thing is. Let's say we want to go or change by these chords. And so we could go +1 0, and then it's like basically these are just booleans to store data. I'll get more to that in the future of this video. Let's go to the looks category. Let's position it back into the normal part. So the say blocks basically just say. It just says hello for that specific time, or it just says that permanently. To remove it, just click the green flag. The think is just thinking of it just looks, and it's the same thing as the say block. The switch costume block is basically just switches to that costume. And since we're on the looks category, let's go to the costumes editor. So right here you could pick all of these except this one. I'm using Scratch add-ons. The uploadable costume basically uploads any of your costumes. The surprise button gives you a surprise, like her on a wheelchair or something. The paint is what most people use to create, where you could create any size by holding a part and then release at the edge of the box. The circle is the same thing, but in a circle form. The line is also the same thing, but in a line form. The text is just text. You could type, I don't know, hello Scratchers or something. The paint basically paints anything. Like, for instance, right here we have an empty box. We use the paint. We can fill this in. Not really that useful, but kind of depends on what you're doing. This one is kind of weird at the same time. Basically, it basically turns your movement of your mouse into like a paintbrush. Now let's go back to the line. So if we go here and make a line right here, let's do one like that. This one will allow you to create any shape that you like. Like, you can make a shape like this. Hold up. Or you can make like a shape like this, and if you press point, you'll sharpen that edge. Not really sharpen, but just, it'll not make a smooth. And it's the same thing for all the shapes. You could edit it whatever you want, like a smiley face. Double. or a square. You could also change it to whatever you want, basically. The shortcuts are, here are the shortcuts, basically. Let me just pay. So, Control A to select all. Alt to stay in that formation, I guess, or stay in that the start where you go, or center, basically. Shift is to make it perfectly squared or circular. On the Alt, on the Shift key for the little line is to go, you can, it's like 45-degree 45-degree rounding. If you press Control A and then backspace, will delete everything that you just did on the little costume. Now, let's leave right here and continue with the blocks. The next costume block basically switches to that costume, the next costume. So for instance, if it's 2 and there's no more costumes left to render, it'll go back to the first one, and then if it's again, it'll go to the second one, and then it keeps repeating. The switch backdrop and the next backdrop button is the same thing what I talked between these two blocks. The change size and the set size block basically, changes the size and sets it back. The change color changes the color in A. The change color block basically changes in a rainbow format. The fisheye effect basically zooms in, or whatever you call this is. No, wait, hold up. Nope. Oh, I forgot to tell you about the mouse one. It selects basically everything. That's it. There we go. Oh yeah, he's showing his mouth. He's checking the mirror if he has any teeth in his thing. In his mouth. The whirl effect basically just whirls. The pixelate basically makes a pixel. The mosaic basically makes duplicates of it in an array. The brightness effect basically changes the brightness. You could also do negative, like 10, and then it'll return back to normal. Oh, you can make it like completely dark. Like, this looks like a shadow of a scratch cat, but if it was very dark. The ghost effect basically just makes it ghostly. But make sure you do it 10, otherwise it won't ghost itself into existence. The clear graphic effect basically removes all the effects you applied to this little sprite. Let's go. Oh, no. The go-to costume basically, or the go-to block basically makes that go in front of everything else. So since, let's call him Kai, or that's literally what his name is. If you press it, or if it detects if it's running, it'll go in front, and it could be back. You could also do the same with forward, but it'll only go one layer, not all of the layers forward. These are the same thing what I said to the X position, Y position, and direction. It basically stores data about what this is. Like this, this, or this. Let's go to the sound tab. Basically, the play sound block plays the sound. Yeah, that's it. It just plays the sound until dawn. Because if you put it in a forever loop, it just does that. But the start sound block will just repeat it like that, and we don't like that. The start sound basically instantly starts it, and it's stackable. The stop all sounds basically stops it if anything's playing, so it just disturbs its silence. This change pitch will change the pitch though, so you could change it to 0, and then I'll change it to 0, and yeah. The clear sound effects is like the clear graphic effects. The change volume will change that volume of that sprite only, not the whole stage. Otherwise you have to put like a thing or detect. Let's go to the events tab now. This is the most crucial part of the whole thing, because if you don't have this category, you would be doomed 100%. Like always. Like no other header blocks except that when I start as a clone block. So the one green flag clicked is used in most projects. Now it'll detect if the project has been started. So let's make it so we make Scratchcat think. So it'll just say whenever I start the project. The one space key pressed basically detects whenever that key is pressed. So right now I'm pressing space, and since the green flag is flashing, that means one of the codes in the whole project is running. The when the sprite clicked button will detect if you click that little cat or the sprite basically. It'll basically do that. The when backdrop switches will detect if the bad backdrop switches to that. The backdrop is basically the background of the whole stage. The one loudness is 10 will detect if you're louder than 10. Otherwise, it just doesn't do anything. So let's do 50 or 100. Or it's not really 100, but then the message will detect. It's basically like hidden wire. It basically will like send it via Bluetooth, quote unquote Bluetooth. So if you change it to something like, hello, this is a test, and then put it as when I receive it, or not that. But if you do that, so let's make it so it will play meow. So So anytime when you press this button, it will play this hat block. The and wait button basically will wait until the next one happens, or the next the when I receive block. Let's go to the controls category now. The wait 1 second will make you wait 1 second, obviously. The repeat blank will repeat that whatever's inside that for the amount you want. The forever, it's mostly used in projects also, but it's not like useful. Like it is useful, but if the block disappeared, you could still use it using this contraption. The forever block will repeat that forever. The if then block. I think these are booleans, I'm not sure. So these will use these type of blocks. And if it's ran, it will detect if the following statement is true, and then I'll run anything inside of it. For instance, if no, we don't cover that yet. Let's do if volume is equal to 50, then it will just play. Let's just do this. So obviously nothing will happen, but as we decrease the volume, it will follow that loop. The if then else block, it's the same thing as the if then block, but if it detects the following statement isn't true, it'll follow the second part of it, which is under the else. The repeat, the wait until I meant, will wait for the whole script. It'll wait until the whole it'll wait until that boolean is true. I think it's called boolean, I'm not sure. The repeat until is the same thing as the wait until, but you could put anything inside of it while it's waiting, and it'll run that. The stop block will stop the whole. This stop all will stop the whole project. Stop the script will stop the whole script. Stop other scripts in Sprite will basically make all of the other scripts in that sprite like it'll just stop it. These 3 blocks are not useful if you put them together, because it's bad if you put these together. So the when I start as a clone and the create clone and the delete this will basically make a duplicate of the sprite without actually making it, like this. And then you can move these freely around. But if you're in it, you can't really move it around because you don't grant administrator purposes, quote unquote, administrator purposes. But it's in the sensing that delete this clone, or delete the clone, and basically it will do it, I guess. Oh yeah. This is why I told you, do not do this script. It's bad. So let's go refresh this page. is very overpowered if you don't want anyone looking in your little thingy, in your little hidden thingies, whatever they're called. I don't care what they're called. We will uncover more of the blocks right now. To delete the clone, we'll delete if it will delete the clone if it's under the one I stare as a clone block. Like this. Since there's nothing popped up, but if we remove this, we have 3 or 4 duplicates. Let's go to the Sunthings category. The touching mouse pointer will detect if you're touching that sprite. The touching will detect if the sprite is touching that color. The color is touching block will detect if in the whole stage, I never even used this before, so I bet it's probably useless in my 2 years of scratching. It will basically detect if that color is touching that color of 2 sprites doing that. The ask block will ask input, where you could type in hello, basically, and then it will return into the answers boolean. The key space pressed or the key pressed will detect if that key is pressed. The mouse down will detect if the mouse is down in the whole project. The mouse X and mouse Y will tell you what the mouse X and mouse Y chords are. The drag mode is what I said about quote-unquote administrator purposes, where you can now move it freely around now. Yeah, you can basically just move it around. The loudness block is basically what I mean by the loud. And you could detect if someone's loud enough, and then it'll say, please be quiet, or something like that. The timer will create a timer, and you can reset the timer, basically. This will get info of any sprite, like any of them. You get info of stage, and it'll tell me what volume it has, how much is that variable, and stuff like that. The current block will tell you like what year is it and what second is it. Like it'll tell you how much actual time there is until you die. I'm joking. It's totally fake. So the online block is actually pretty new, the newest block that just got updated, and it'll detect if the user has Wi-Fi, which obviously I do right here. The username block will spit out the oh my god, it will spit out the username, oh my god, it'll spit out the person who's using this username. Oh my god, it'll spit out the username that the account is using. Perfect. So the only bad part about this is that if you share and use this little boolean, it'll say, this project uses the username. If you don't want your username to get leaked, sign out before using this or something. Well, it's not really that important because it doesn't do anything. You could just sign your username from like a whole list. The operators will basically do any math for you, like 90 plus 10, obviously everyone is 100. It will say 100, and I'll do the same for all of these. The pick random will basically pick a random block between these two numbers. All of these booleans are pretty useful. So if it detects if this is the same thing as this, which obviously it's not, but if it's 50, it returns as true. But I'm warning you, a blank versus a space, so you basically cannot detect. I basically don't know what I'm saying already. So the and or not, the and will basically detect only if these two booleans connected return to true. The or will return if one or two booleans are true. The not will only return if the following statement is false. The join will join these two numbers. The letter 1 of Apple is used in many stylish projects because it's used for stylish text. So if you want letter 2 of this, it will say AP because AP, obviously. The length will tell you how long is that. So Apple would be 5 because there's 5 letters. Well, yes, it is. It will detect if apple contains A, which obviously it does. Well, if we do apple, it'll return false because there is no A between all of these numbers. The mod will basically, it's like the divide, but it returns the remainder of that. So 0, so 20 and 5 is divisible, right? But 20 and 6 isn't, so it'll give a value of 2. The abs and all of these are just math stuff that I am too dumb to know. But luckily I know sin and cosine, which is useful if you want to do wavy and cool animations. The variables is used in most. It's basically used in most it's used in most projects. So you can make a variable and store it called, I don't know, scratches. So we have a display of 0, and we could change it by 1, like a clicker game. You could hide it and show it like normal. And the list is the same thing as the variable, but you can make multiple of it. I'll tell you more of it. So the add will add that thing to that one you're selected. the delete one will delete number 1, basically. Always. The delete all of hello, or delete all of blank, will delete everything in that list. The insert thing, or the insert at blank of blank, will insert that number, but at 1, it just inserts it. The replace will actually delete the first one and replace it with the number you just gave, or anything. The hello contains thing will detect if the whole list contains that. So let's do 212. It'll contain false, but 123 will contain true. The length will tell you how much objects are in that list. For example, it's 15, right? Well, it spits out 15. The item 1 will find the first one or any of the other ones you picked to that. So currently it's 98765, but if you pick 2, it's 123 because 2 is 123. The item number of thing will tell you what number that is, the most recent that you could find. And it will also find any in that list. It spits out what number it is also, which is pretty useful. Show and hide are the same thing from the variable ones. Debugger is not in official Scratch, it's just a Scratch add-on. The make block, it's used in pretty good projects, according to you. Some of those are honestly horrible. Please, Scratch, don't ban me, please, I beg you. So we could create a block called scratches, and then you can pick between a number and text. Oh, never mind, I don't want you. It'll just basically, you could put any number or anything you want. The add an input will add a boolean, and the add a label will add another label. The run without screen refresh will instantly run that block. And this, you could put any type of whatever this is, or numbers, or letters, but I don't know how you explain these, or booleans, which pretty much spits out. And basically that's it. I was telling you about tips and tricks previously, and I'll give you some tips and tricks. To make a sprite move left and right smoothly, like in all of those other games, you use the sin block and use the timer. And you go back to the point in direction, and then in the forever, and you put one green flag clicked. So it will do ever so slowly and not perfectly at the same time, because you want to do this 90 degrees. Now slowly do it. But if you want to make it faster, you could do timer times 20 or 100. It basically speeds it up. and the multiplied block after will move it like that. You could also slow it down like using 5 or I recommend doing 20 or probably 200. It'll slowly move like that. I'll give you one more tip. You could also, oh, I forgot about the sounds tab. It's fine, I don't have to explain that monstrosity. To make it like softly pop up, like beautifully, you use a -100 and set size, or basically one green flag collect forever. If else, touching mouse pointer, then set to size ×2, I think. I'm not so sure though. Oh, think I did it. By the way, epilepsy. Beep, beep, beep. And oh, let me figure out this monstrosity. Now I'm supposed to do a change, I think. It's violently shaking. Or in other words, I don't know. Boop. Boop. Yeah, I'm not gonna do that one at least. By the way, another tip is used to subscribe. Another tip is to actually save code in your backpack. This is an example of a smooth up and down animation, like pretty smooth up and down animation. Like this. I'll basically just, you could copy the code. No need for credit or anything. Wait, who said credit? No, I'm joking, but you don't have to do this, or you don't have to like give credit. Also, you could also store a bunch of whatever this is. So basically that's the video. Make sure to like and subscribe, and don't follow my profile. Oh man. So basically, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.